So unfortunately, that's a yes or no question. One thing I found in my experience in business, and I hope this comes across properly, because I do say this out of love, but there's people who work just to get a paycheck and go home, and there's people who love to master a craft of what they do. And the unfortunate side to AI is I believe it is actually legitimately going to create a larger gap between the low and the high income AI program that could do this podcast. It's two people talking back and forth, and they're somewhat interesting to listen to. But why wouldn't it ever get 1 million users or followers? Because at the end of the day, people still want to deal with people.
Welcome back to From Drift to Direction, the show where we have honest conversations about success, purpose, personal growth, and building a life you're excited to wake up to. Today's guest is Nathan Graham, entrepreneur, author, and someone who's helping businesses use AI to work smarter while keeping people at the center of it all. After more than 16 years in real estate, Nathan made the leap into artificial intelligence and has become a leading voice on using technology to create more freedom, more impact, and more meaningful human connections. Nathan, welcome to the show. I'm excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, definitely. I want to start with who is Nathan behind the business with all this experience and what brought you to AI, and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my biggest journey, I guess, started 16 years ago when I got into real estate. I was 26 years old. I was a little bit of a young punk. I thought I knew everything, like most 26-year-olds. And I'm so thankful that I made it into real estate, because getting into real estate really helped me adapt and grow as a human being. And I've always loved psychology. I've always loved neuroplasticity. This is what I took courses on. This is what I learned for no reason other than I wanted to. And then I was very technologically driven in the real estate world. I often taught all the technology courses in my classes. Fast forward to AI being released, and all of a sudden there's this amazing new tool, which is this beautiful blend of psychology and technology, which is, I don't even think people realize the conversations we're going to have in the future regarding things like, what does it mean to be human because of AI? So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey and how I started off from real estate, running a business, going on a growth mindset, and into AI. It just melded technology and psychology, and I loved it.
Right, interesting. And do you think that, I mean, we're all using AI, ChatGPT, Claude, and there's so many platforms out there, but do you think that AI is taking our ability to think?
I think, like many things, it can. I think much like the internet or television as well, right? So, for example, we no longer have the encyclopedias that you order from the door-to-door salesman from back in the 80s, because the internet took over that. AI is this very funny device or piece of technology to say. What I love about it and what I hate about it is, yes, it can take away your ability to think. It can give you the easy answer. It can write you the book overnight. It can do all these things without you really trying. On the same hand, it can also really help you develop thoughts and ideas and help you develop futures, help you goal, plan, and all these other beautiful things, which for me, when I use AI, I think of it as having the smartest teacher that I could ever find, and I want to learn and absorb as much as possible. So I definitely think it goes both ways, and it really depends up to the user. I think a lot of users are going to use it as an easy way out. A lot of students are going to use it to write their essays, and it's unfortunate because it will be thinking for them. Then you're going to get people like myself who are going to use it for mastery and use it for learning and use it to accelerate the career that I'm in or the careers and the things that I'm doing. And to people like me, it's just going to open up whole new worlds, right?
Interesting. You help businesses with AI, use AI. What are some of the tools that you're using in your personal life related to AI?
Yeah, so I help businesses. I do what's called an AI audit. And this is where I can use tools to help benefit their business and make things go quicker. So ones that I use a lot of Coworker and I use a lot of Claude. That's what I use primarily. I do a lot of what's called vibe coding, and I use code to vibe code. So I'm not a coder by trade. I do have a coder that looks over all the programs that I create, and then he shores them up. So I'm using Claude for a lot of that. But what I've recently gotten into over the last little while is AI agents. Through a mixture of Claude and a few other programs, I created my own contact management database. And it's really nifty. So as soon as you fill out for like a newsletter or whatever case may be, I actually have AI take your information, do research on you, figure out where you work, find all your LinkedIn, and then it also does research on your company. And then it tells me how Synthetic Echo can help you. And it actually crafts a personalized email that all I have to do is quickly draft and hit send to go out to you. Right?
Wow.
So AI agents, I have ones that are now I'm hooking up actually tonight. I'm hooking up as autoresponders to my Instagram for those messages for the ones I can't get to through LinkedIn, through WhatsApp. So I use a lot of agents to basically work for me while I'm in this podcast. Like right now in this podcast, as I'm talking to you, I have one that's currently coding. Along with another one that's doing research, and I have one that's sending a few people out my book and crafting emails for people I want on my own podcast. So I'm constantly using the AI agents for that.
Wow, that sounds like a really productive tool that can help you in your business and your daily life.
Well, absolutely. Like I call AI the great equalizer. What it does for a lot of small to medium sized businesses, it's the first time in my history, anyways, we've been able to compete with the big boys. Because now all of a sudden, instead of having to hire inside sales associates, instead of having to hire administrators, like I literally text my phone. I have my AI assistant goes to my phone. I'll text it and it'll craft all my emails and respond for me for the day. Right? It filters through everything. So I don't need to hire all these people. I created a program called Synthetic Echo Hub, which is a automated brand builder. So you type in your brand and you type in one prompt and it creates you commercials and it posts everywhere on social media on a schedule. So all of a sudden, we now have these amazing tools that allow us to compete against large companies and realistically compete to at a very high level to even potentially, I think some of these big companies need to be worried. I don't think they are worried near enough. So AI is kind of neat. All of a sudden for a $20 or $30 subscription, you can have this army of agents at your back. You no longer need to hire and worry about 40 people's payrolls. They work 24/7 and they just adapt and go. I love it.
It sounds really good for the businesses, but what about the the people? Do you think people should be worried about AI taking over their jobs?
So unfortunately, that's a yes or no question. One thing I found in my experience in business, and I hope this comes across properly, because I do say this out of love, but there's people who work just to get a paycheck and go home, and there's people who love to master a craft of what they do. And the unfortunate side to AI is I believe it is actually legitimately going to create a larger gap between the low and the high income. The middle income is pretty much going to go away in a lot of ways, right? Unless you have a job for the next little while that's physically hands-on. Yet, when I look at the jobs of, you take like an inside sales associate, someone we would pay 40, 50 grand a year to do sales calls, they all hated their jobs. They weren't coming to work because they were like, oh boy, Peter, I'd love to just bother the crap out of people all day. They just come for a paycheck, collect it, and go home. And those people, I definitely think, find out what you want to master very quickly, because there is going to be this group of people that choose to master their craft, and they're going to master it really well. And AI is going to help them compete at a very high level. So the administrator that just comes in, gets a job done, and goes home, and that's that, they'll probably be out of work as soon as, like, I'm meeting with a company tomorrow about they let their administrator go because there was a conflict because the person wasn't showing up for work. And they're probably going to replace that with an AI agent to do vast majority of the work, right?
Wow.
Having said that, that administrator could have just as very well easily become indispensable to this guy as well. She could have been the one, or sorry, in this case, he could have been the one to adopt AI and become a valuable asset, so no company would ever consider letting him go. So on one hand, yes, it'll lose a lot of jobs. On the other hand, it's also going to secure your future position at a job if you choose to go into the way of mastering it.
What do you think are the skills that people should focus on building to protect their jobs or to have a secure future?
99% of AI I find is learning how to communicate with it, right? So, very quick story, relatively quick story. I was at this dinner of business owners, and this guy who owned a landscaping company got up to speak to us. Now, again, I'm the AI expert in this group. I'm the one who knows AI, and this landscaper is going to do a presentation on AI. He was Exactly what you would think a landscaper would be like. He was not your traditional businessman. He swore a little bit too much. He was crass. His presentation, which most people would be a half an hour, was done in 10 minutes. Had a little bit of this accent. Went up there in his landscaping clothes. It was really really down to earth. I love the guy. He was using AI at such a high level. His administrator quit at 8:30 on Sunday night and left him high and dry going into his busy season in landscaping. And as a result, he adapted so quickly, and he is not a technological guy. Like I make a joke that if you're to hand him the word algorithm, he would just hand it back and say, "What is this?" And that would be that, right? Yet he took a little bit of time and he learned a little bit of how to communicate to AI, and he found a program in particular that use very plain English and plain language. So you didn't have to get all fancy with terminology. You told it, send an email, it just sends an email. This is a skill set I encourage people. Find an AI system that you can speak to in plain language. Start having things to make your job easier and help you look like a superstar. You don't have to be super techie. A lot of people I know, like this landscaper, is not a super techie guy. Now he wears a device that takes 5-second intervals of what he's doing throughout a day, cuts it into a video, and that's his promotional on social media. And he doesn't even know what to do with it. He just does it all on its own, right? So if you are going into this world where you're worried about your job being replaced, find one or two AI programs, and even use AI to find them. Go to ChatGPT. One of my favorite things when I'm learning something new with ChatGPT is I'll say, "Hey, Chat, I have absolutely no idea what the heck I'm doing. I need help. Talk to me like I'm 14 years old. Use very small words and explain this to me." And it is so good at doing that, right? The other part I would say is figure out what your dreams are. We talk about this skill set. It'll give you the roadmap to whatever your dreams are, whatever you want to accomplish. And then all you have to go is do it. Go and do it. This is something unique to our time in history. We've had times that you could hire coaches for this or spend money for this, and then you have no idea what the heck you're going to get. Now we have somebody who doesn't profit off your dreams telling you how to go do your dreams, right? So that's the other skill set I would learn from it, is learn how to communicate, create business plans through it, create strategies, and just use simple English while doing it.
I like the idea that we can have that tool in our hands and be able to have that support. But sometimes what I find it challenging is when you ask a question, it gives you like 5 pages of information. Then you ask another question, gives you another 5 pages. Do you think that in some way we're getting busier than getting more productive? Because it's just a lot of information. If you don't know how to filter that information, it's going to be a challenge. And instead of getting more clear on what you want, you get more confused.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. And you're not wrong. So what I like to do, and this is one reason why, especially for somebody newer, I recommend ChatGPT, is you can give it rules. So for example, I have a few rules for my ChatGPT. My first rule is give everything to me like I'm 14 years old. A 14-year-old will not be able to handle 5 pages of information. So a lot of times my chat doesn't give me the 5 pages anymore. It gives me the simple breakdown. And if I find it's going too long or it is giving those complex answers, it's like the best assistant that you can just be blunt with and just be like, "Hey, you're being too wordy for me right now. I need you to tone it down." And it'll retell you and tone it down, which is great. Another rule I like to give it is, I'm sure we've all experienced the niceness of ChatGPT. It always likes to reaffirm you. So I
Right.
make sure I give it and all my AI a rule that I value honesty over good feelings. I'd rather you hurt my feelings than make me look like an idiot by agreeing with you. And this will often give me that. I make that a rule. It gets stored in its memory, and that way it stops always reaffirming me. So if I'm going to the gym and I'm like, "Hey, I just did this weight lift. Am I strong?" It's like, "Yeah, no, last week you were doing more. I think you need to go see a doctor." Or I actually make mine sarcastic. I let it make fun of me too. Um, the third rule, which is very ironic, and I know we didn't ask about this, we can touch on it, but I also recommend giving it your moral compass. This sounds like a really weird one, but this is that mix of philosophy and psychology with technology. It's learning off the internet. And so it's really doing a moral compass of the masses. Me, I have a religious background. So I gave my chat GPT a religious moral compass. In my personal case, it's grounded in Christianity. But if yours is grounded in Christianity, Muslim, secularism, individualism, you want to make sure that its answers are aligning with where your core belief system is at. And so that's another rule that I highly recommend putting into place. The thing though, it's like, imagine being able to go to your administrator and be like, from now on, you have to talk to me this way, act this way, say this thing, and always be honest. That's what you're able to do with ChatGPT, and it makes it this beautiful thing. So to what you're talking about, give it rules. If you find it's overcomplicating your life, add more rules to it.
Interesting. You're helping businesses. For anybody that is still hesitating to use AI in their business, what advice would you give to people?
Stop hesitating. So I got into real estate in 2010. Facebook was released in 2007. I saw the way Facebook and YouTube impacted the real estate world. And I remember reading about online internet leads in 2011, and we all laughed. My company literally said, don't ever buy them. They're a waste of money. They're just cheap stuff. And then in 2015, we're going to conferences, and those who weren't buying internet leads got left behind. And so there was a small group of adopters that jumped on it that even the big companies said, don't do it. AI is going to be like that on steroids. If you do operate your own business, you are not going to be able to properly compete against an AI run company. Now, it doesn't mean you have to lose your humanity, and it doesn't mean you have to lose your employees that you love, and we can still give people opportunity. I still hire people. I still have partners. Like, the best example I can give you is I have an AI program that could do this podcast. It's two people talking back and forth, and they're somewhat interesting to listen to. But why wouldn't it ever get 1 million users or followers? Because at the end of the day, people still want to deal with people. They still want to hear people, right? So there's a very human connected way to be able to utilize AI. Yet you have to get on it. Your competitor will be able to outcompete you way too quickly. And if you miss this boat, this is one that'll be very hard to catch up on. So if you're not on AI, I'd say within a year or two, you're going to probably slowly dwindle away in a business unless you do a very big impact to catch up. And start small, like with that.
Start small, and I think one of the things is people get overwhelmed. Just start with one AI tool, learn it, use it. It takes time, but don't get overwhelmed by 10 AI agents and AI websites.
Well, absolutely. Like that's a part of the AI audit that I'll do for companies is we'll see what's needed, but we do have a rule that you don't implement a new AI until the old one has secured the leak that it was supposed to, and that you know what it's doing, right? So right now I might have 10 AI agents running, but I didn't a month ago. A month ago, I had one. It was my first one, and I was trying it out to make sure it worked. And I got to know it really well. And that's the cool thing about technology. Once you learn something really well, the next one and the next one is a whole lot easier to make, right? But I do agree with you, hands down, is number one, you have to be able to define what leak this program is going to plug, whether it's a financial leak or a time leak or whatever case may be. Number two, only do one at a time. Because as you start to do more, the next thing you know, a month later, you're buying 30 different programs. You haven't kept track. $600 goes out of your account for no reason. You have no idea why, for an AI program that maybe you used once or twice. So have some discipline and slowly work your way through it. And I'm telling you this, by the way, I want to be very clear. This is a do as I say, not as I did, because I was the kind of person when I first got into AI, I think I bought like 20 programs. And my wife looked at our visa statement and was like, what the heck are you doing? And so it was like a lot of canceling because a lot of them I didn't need. So absolutely, make sure it works. It's tried, tested, and proven before you add the second program.
Tell us a little bit about your latest book. What is it about and what inspired you to write it?
So I'm actually trying to think because my latest book actually, since I actually talked to you originally opening on the show, I've actually released another one that's straight up on AI that is about AI audits and AI tools. So it's called The Synthetic Echo. Coincidentally, I'm giving it away for free for July, the e-version of it for anybody who wants it. But pretty much it's the game plan that we're talking about right now. It's the argument of why you need to be in AI, what's going to happen with AI. It's the personal lessons I've learned the hard way because I have a thick head, as one of my partners always tells me. I'm a young bull that just charges in, and I do that a fair bit. He is the old bull that keeps me back. And it's a lot of lessons I learned. And then it's a lot of practical tools. Now, it's not tools in the sense of go buy this program, go buy that program, because the reality is by the time you read this book, those programs are probably going to be out of date and beaten by somebody else. So what I like to do is teach you the idea of the tool behind it, like the kind of AI agent you're looking for, the kind of AI caller, the AI CRM, that we're not telling you go buy this CRM, go look for one that has A, B, C, and D, right? And then it just gives you the game plan, how to audit your own company, how to take a look, how to implement things. Obviously, that's what I do. So if it comes down where you're struggling with it still after reading the book, I'm more than happy to speak to you and book a time. But one of my goals is I know a lot of people either A, can't afford audits, or B, don't always trust the person across from it. So hopefully this way they can read the book and implement stuff themselves and get things back on track. Because we have a window here. Like, not to create panic. I feel like I'm the news station right now, but we have a window here that we can jump on and really dominate markets as business owners. But that window is not going to be open forever. And waiting 6 months to a year, it's like, man, when the housing was going crazy and I'm a realtor and or let me back up, it was about to go crazy. And I'm telling people, buy houses now. It's about to skyrocket. There was this window. And then what people do is they wait until the houses are now at max price before they buy. So definitely get the guideline now, man. That's what the book is about, is just implement this into your business, no matter what your business is, to help you out.
That's a great advice. Do you want to share about the book and where people can take advantage and get the book?
So my company is syntheticecho.com. I am going to scam you into getting my newsletter, but if you don't want my newsletter, you can just unsubscribe it. As soon as you sign in for the newsletter, it's going to email you an audio version that'll take you to a YouTube link, as well as a PDF version of what the book is. If you're so inclined to support me financially, you're more than welcome to buy it off Amazon, but don't feel like you have to. But syntheticecho.com. And then you'll also see all the other podcasts I do. I have another book that helps kids with, or parents with their teenagers that game a whole lot. That's another big issue that's coming up. As much as I love technology, I love families, and it'll give you an idea of basically my own projects are on there. All my socials are on there if people want to connect with me as well.
For yourself and your personal life, do you create healthy boundaries with technology?
I absolutely do. My wife will attest, I have an obsessive personality. I get hooked on something and I just spend hours doing it until it gets out of my system. So what I actually do now is I do not care what project I'm on. I do not care where I am at in a project. The second we put my daughter to bed, which is usually around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I spend time with my wife. We started this recently on Saturdays. I make sure to have family time. A lot of times I even like just to get out of the house and get into meetings. I'm using my schedule a whole lot more, especially in the technological world. It's very easy to fall down a rabbit hole and always say one more project, one more project. I'm learning now that I could code for 16 hours a day, but then my brain just doesn't work as well the next day. And it's much smarter for me to put in a 10, 11 hour day, have breaks for conversations like this podcast, have breaks for other projects that I like to do, game once in a while still, spend time with my family, and that is rejuvenating, and then go to sleep and know that I'm just going to get back on it in the morning. That is really the best way I find to handle technology for me. And make sure that if you are like my business partner yelled at me for this the one day. We went out golfing. I'm not a good golfer. We went out golfing and I couldn't get my mind off of work. And he basically just looked at me and said, you're either going to be here or don't.
Right.
Because if you keep coming to this and still work while you're here, you're going to have an insane breakdown by the time you're 50. And I don't disagree with them. So I also make sure now when I do take my breaks, it's just like work, man. If I'm golfing, you got me golfing for that next 4 hours. That's all I'm going to focus on and worry about. I'm not even going to pick up my phone anymore. I have it on me for music and to make sure my kid's okay. Like, that's about it.
That's good. Yeah, that's good, because we see so many people with their phones scrolling. I mean, you barely see any families sitting on a table having a meal, and they don't even talk. And I find myself in that situation sometimes. We definitely have to work on that as a society. For somebody that is building a business, what is one practical tip that you'd give them related to AI? Something simple, something that they can start right away.
Which one? There's so many, but if I wanted something simple, make sure you have a business plan and create it with AI. The number one mistake I see people in business do, especially when they're starting off, they don't give themselves a roadmap, a plan, a guide. You have to do that. And I get why people don't. If you're anything like me, where I jump into the deep end first, sometimes it's hard to even think about what you would do. The biggest gift for me with AI is when I have no clue what to do, it guides me through it. No joke. I spent an hour and a half literally talking to Claude. We were going back and forth about an idea, about creating my podcast, my book, my company, and promotion, because I had all these crazy good ideas, but I had no roadmap whatsoever. And that's a great way to waste a lot of money and get a lot of progress done. You get your AI to be blunt with you and just start off with, hey, chat, hey, Gemini, hey, Claude. I call mine Sushi because I just like that name for my AI. I say, hey, Sushi, listen, I have this idea. I need your honest truth on how to get this done. It's a goal. It's a dream. I want nothing to stop me. Give me the game plan. Tell me what I'm missing. Be my eyes with the things I cannot see. Spend time and treat it like this amazing business partner you're just bouncing ideas off of, and get a road plan of action. And then take bloody action. Man, do you know how many businesses would shut down if people just took action? Like, I was chatting with a partner today about it. Most of my business and the most of his business is because people have these ideas and they don't take action on them. So if you take action, you're already going to be ahead of 80% of your competition. And if you take consistent action, you're going to be ahead of 90%. Which means now you're only competing against 10% of the names that are out there. And I do not care what business that is you're in. So my practical advice is, with AI, is get a business plan and take action. Put in even a thing. Claude had and ChatGPT have this reminder thing that every morning it can send you an email that gives you a motivational quote and tells you to do it to keep you on track. If that's what you need, that's what you do. That's what I'd recommend.
Taking action is one of the hardest things that people can do. And I mean, sounds easy, but definitely it takes time and it takes work. You mentioned different AI tools. What do you think is the best AI tool out there now for you?
Well, for me, it's Claude hands down because of the
Okay.
way I vibe code, the way I design, the way I build. But I also have subscriptions across the board. And this is one of those funny ones. Today it's Claude, tomorrow it might be Grok. I don't know. Grok just released one that apparently its coder is just as good as Opus, so I'm going to try that out. When it comes to animating videos, I really like Gemini. And when it comes to creating infographics, man, ChatGPT is so good at creating social media content. If you run a social media business, ask it to put in a few pictures and be like, hey, make this a 9:16 for Instagram. At the end of the day, you got to find what works for you, though. Like, before I was coding, it was ChatGPT all the way. And then it was funny. It was ChatGPT for me to talk to. But when I got into coding, Gemini became my brains behind most of my programs, because Gemini has really good logical brains to operate things, right? So find out what you want to do, which one's the strongest with the free version, and then invest 20 bucks, 25 bucks a month and just go have fun with it.
You mentioned a little bit about your website, but where people can find a little bit more about you, your journey, your books, social media, where can people connect with you?
So I used to have the big long list, but again, now it's all front and center at the top of my website. I decided to put everything there. So it'll have both my books on there for anybody who's interested in that. It'll have all my previous podcasts and up and coming podcasts. This podcast will be embedded into there as soon as it launches. So if they want to hear my voice and hear me talk about psychology over AI, then that's another great fun conversation. It has a link to all my socials. I am definitely most active on Instagram. If you message me on Instagram, I do my best. My bot might take over for the first few messages and try to sell you my newsletter. But after that, I do try to respond. So if something here resonates with you, if you have questions, connect with me there. Or if you do get the newsletter thing in the free book, you can respond to my AI bot and just say, hey, I actually really need to talk to Nathan about something. We can set up a call anytime. As much as I'm in this for a business and to make money like everybody else, I literally just want to see people grow and expand. So I'm always open to a half an hour conversation of what could work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for a great conversation. And I think we need to do a part two, I think, because there's so much to talk about.
Absolutely. I would love to do a part two on this. I could talk about it. I'm sure we could talk about this all day.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many tools out there, so much information. I think it's really helpful for people to understand that you don't need to fear AI. You just use it. Use it as much as you can, and find the tool that works for you, because there's so much going on out there, and it's overwhelming, but it can be definitely a great help for your personal life and your business.
One thing I really want to touch on, because you said something, and then I wanted to give another quick tip about how to use this for your personal life. You said action is hard to take. And by the way, I want to agree with you. That is definitely the hardest step of everything. And so, two encouragements I want to make. If you're anything like me, I'm not telling you how to do things, it's just if you're like me. Number one, break it down into small steps. When I was in real estate, it was hard to sell 35 homes a year, but it was easy to sell a couple a month. So break it down into small steps if that's the action you need to take, number one. But number two, you are going to look like an idiot. I looked like an idiot when I first started business. We all did. Nobody, Elon Musk, I don't know, man. You name anybody who's good at business, they look like idiots going into business. And my recommendation is if you're around the right people see that and they lift you up. And if you're getting beat down for looking like an idiot, then get some new friends, man. That's like they're not worth hanging out. They're just going to hold you back. Because when I look like an idiot, I'm with a group of business owners and I look like an idiot a lot who basically laugh, give me a hard time about it, and then help me get through whatever I'm struggling with and get around those people. Number two, practical tool tip. If you want to have a lot of fun, if you want to use ChatGPT in everyday life, you may or may not know this one, but I am not good at cooking. So what I can do is I can actually take a picture of just my fridge, open all the food in my fridge and say, make me a high protein meal out of this because my wife is at work all night. And it'll actually give you recipes of what you can make from your fridge. That is how cool ways to get started into it in a very easy way.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think we can definitely apply AI tools in many different areas, but um, just start using it and experiment and see what works for you. Um, and definitely great conversation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
To everyone listening, thank you for joining us on another episode. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a message, and share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. Until next time, keep growing and keep moving from drift to direction. Thank you.